Okay, everyone, and welcome back. I just want to post this news. We got started late on the break, and I want to stick to these schedules. Wanted to share this. Bitcoin falls below $800 for the first time in 3 weeks on Bitstamp Exchange, down over 12% on the day after PBOC says has launched exchange checks. So, just a moment. So let's go move into the Kiwi. Also, our call for the crude oil to move towards this 161% and the 5073 was spot on the money, if you saw that. We talked about when crude was up here and we said, well, where will we see support? So I came up with 5073 and I said, well, that confluences with 5074 being 161% of the move here, 54.32 to 52.11, and that hit it. I think it was off by one tick. So I thought that they were going to, make a march down here. Crude is a good market, it's technically driven, but like I said, for months and months and months, it's just a prisoner of these headlines. But it really trades well against the technicals. We're not dealing with these stupid headlines. But that was something that we're looking at. I mean, I don't know about adding crude to the bias chart, but like I said, we were looking for a move to 50.73 for support. That would be the area for support for them to move down there and confluence with the 161%. So let's go on and move into this Kiwi. And on the Kiwi, we have 69.42 and 70.53. Let's take a look at that. The 70.53 continues to hold the market right here. And we got the 69.42. So this market's pretty much really quiet. Not really a whole lot happening here. It's not benefiting as greatly as the Aussie has. Now the New Zealand economy is very dependent on China, and you already know with as we go into the Trump's first press conference, there's thoughts about him. What kind of relationship are we going to have with China? And he's going to mark. Is he going to go in and label them a currency manipulator? So it kind of leaves them at risk, depending on what he says, and if that weighs on China. That's probably going to open the door for us to come down here to the 69.42 and probably even further, because like I said, I wouldn't expect him. I don't think he's going to go wacko, but at the same token, there's not really any impetus for him to tone down. So that would really open the door for us to move lower here. And the first pit stop would be the 69.42. We'll still leave this as 70.53, 69.42, but it certainly looks like we're going to come down here to the 69.42 to challenge that. So the support and the resistance on the Kiwi is going to remain the same. Also in the cable, obviously, we have to go and flip that to bearish, and this to a more neutral. We're not going to know until we get past the press conference how everything looks. It's going to be, probably quite volatile. Let's see if we can get rid of that. There we go. So let's go move into the dollar CAD. We talked about this 31.71 before, coming down here and being supportive. And we've got this 33.10. This market's dead in the water. Now, if crude's going to continue to go on and weaken, right here, and we've seen that, and there's 161% confluence with the 50.73 that we discussed yesterday. If crude's going to go on and continue to go on and weaken here, that would go on and open the door for the dollar CAD to move higher. But for right now, it's just simply consolidating. So I don't see any big changes other than, like I said, if crude continues to weaken, that would open the door. I think the thoughts are we can see a pop on the dollar just after, into, or, well, we are seeing it right now. But I'm saying once we get past the news conference, that may open the door for us to weaken a little bit. But for right now, the dollar CAD is just in this little consolidated area, or consolidating this little tight area. I don't really see anything different other than 33.10, 31.71. Nothing's changed. And the crude oil's weakening, which would suggest that would open the door for us to move higher. We got to get past this 33.10. If we're going to move higher, and we are building a nice little consolidation, then if we're going to go and move higher, your real resistance, I mean, initially it's 33.10, but your real resistance is going to be the top of the zone, 33.10. I'm apologize, not 33.10, but the 33.88. For right now, we're consolidating. First initial resistance will be this 33.10 with 31.71. But if we're going to go and open higher, if the wheels are going to fall off the caboose in crude, then yeah, that first pit stop will be 33.88. But we'll stick with our prices we have right now. And we're going to leave this more neutralish. So let's go on and move into the dollar Swiss. We got 0061 and 224. So we did make a run up there to that 224. Actually, like I said, we've got the dollar strengthening. That 224 is just going to still sit there, and like I said, here's the deal is you don't want to be trying to challenge the dollar going into that Trump press conference. That's the one thing that you definitely don't want to go in and do. And I think that's the market itself is looking at it that way, in the sense that, leaving the dollar open for moves higher. Just one moment. But this 224, like I said, we got up here, almost made it right to the 224, which is resistance there. Not a bad place if you were short euro or short, Swissy, to lace them off against, before the news conference, but trying to step in and take the other side down is going to be tough. Just one moment. So we're sitting over here. It's still going to stay the same. There's 224, but I would go in and move. I still like this 120 because, like I said, because of the volatility of the news conference, we can go in and move this a little bit higher for right now. Obviously, this 120 is going to be key. For right now, you could actually move this a little bit closer up in here, 149. Really very tight, 224 to this 149. The 120 is a bias pivot, but for right now, we'll leave this at this 150. Adjust that. Actually, we've had it all the way down to 0.61. I think that this is the one that may not have updated, but. And let's go into the peso and see what's going on with that. Wow, what a rocket ship. So for targets, we're going to go in and look at this right here, and for immediate targets, and look at an extension. Once again, hard to take the other side of this, going ahead of that news conference. But for short-term target, well, we already had it marked off. Look. But 22, I want to get specific, 22.18 is 161%, so that will be our short-term target. Now, like I said, if Trump gets, really gets very hard on his rhetoric, yeah, then that can even blow past this. But I'm saying for a short-term target, yeah, this 22.18 is 161% of this range here. 2012 to 21.39. And I can't see people standing in the way of this thing. We can see if we have anything further back on this. Unless we go like with 161%. This was back in February. Now I tell you what we need to go and do is off the election night. So hang on. Right here. And then move this to a 261%. There we go. Hella move, but this is September high and the election night low. Obviously, then we turn around and spark everything around. So let's go and mark this one off. That'd be a 261% extension. Should put us at 2280. See election night low. And 1993. So we'll just have to see how harsh he gets his rhetoric. But if you look at this, we got into the peak going all the way into the end of September, and then this is the election night low. And obviously then everything turned around. So short-term target, 2218. Bigger target, this is going to be this 2280. But you could, like I said, it depends on how harsh. I don't think he's going to be that harsh, but there's no reason for him to back down. So for right now, we'll put resistance at 22.18. We'll just call it 22.20. 22.20 was support at 21.51. 22.20, 21.51. And we'll move into the dollar yen. Okay, if anyone has any questions or comments, for whatever reason that option is not showing up here on the program, I don't know why. I'm not gonna, don't want to waste any time spent on that. But if I'm not answering your questions or comments, that's the reason why. I'll have to take a look at it overnight, later on today. So we'll move into the dollar yen here. And we talked about this, losing the 1688 and opening the door for a move down to 1593 with an overshoot target of 1550, which we saw that actually even went further than what we would have thought. And we said resistance would be at 1665. We're going to stay with the 1665 as resistance. And I think on the support, in case it broke down, we've mentioned the 1482 right here. Nothing's changed. I think that before all said and done, I think that eventually we'll make this move to this 1439. Obviously, things can get shaken up a bit if Trump's rhetoric in today's news conference is going to, is a bit harsh. Now, certainly this isn't being impacted to the same token or tune that the dollar peso is, but as I mentioned, as a dollar pair, it certainly has the option to push higher. Now, it's not reacting the same way you're seeing the euro making new lows, peso making, also making lows against the dollar. But like I said, this initial support is going to be, initial resistance is going to be here at the 1665 with 17 above it. But lower here, I think eventually we'll make this move down here to 1439. So we'll keep it the same. 1665, which is the 61% of the move here, to 1520 to 1754. Remember, we had that resistance at 53, and that's what ran out of gas. I'm going to stay with that. Here. Like I said, you have to understand that, or realize that they're probably going to see some volatility as we come into that news conference. So the dollar yen, this will stay the same. 1482, 1665 is the 61% of this recent range here. 1520, the lows, to 1754. That's going to, and when we look at this, so far the high has been 1646. So we'll take a look at the cash dollar index before we take a break. And we had our resistance at 270 and support at 176. And the 270 was coming off of this level here. You see right there with the close? That's where we're coming up with that 270 right there. We can go to market off. That's what we're coming up with that 270. We got the bottom of this range here, this 263, and they made it up to 252. So just enough to trigger some stops. We're going to stay with that, okay? And support, we mentioned here, I believe that was at 176 in here. We have the bottom of this zone here at 102, and that's what they bounced off of. But as I mentioned, we're going to go and stick with that, the 270 and the 176. Once again, because you can expect a pretty decent amount of volatility as we go into that, into the press conference. But we'll go and mark this off here, this 170. And we'll see how things unfold under the press conference. I don't expect him to back down, but I don't think he's going to be as harsh. I think he's going to. I would think he's going to go in and reiterate what he's been saying, but I don't think he's going to be as harsh as some people will say. And I think then the market will interpret it as well. There's some leeway, so we'll see how it comes out. But I think, like I said, he's going to stay with his overall theme, but I don't think it'll be as harsh, and then the market's going to probably see that as positive, and we may, at that point, that we may see the dollar then start to go in and correct from these levels. That's what we got. It's already time for the break. We don't have the bias chart completed, but we do have it all the way through here to the Mexican peso. So Euro, Cable, Aussie, Kiwi, CAD, Swissy, Yen, cash dollar index, and the peso. When we come back, we'll look at the Swedish krona, the Noki, gold 30-year, and the S&Ps. And thanks for joining us here on the Morning Edge.